Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin Schroff, and today we're going to take an in-depth look at the UMIDIGI A11, a $100 Android smartphone featuring a 6.53-inch LTPS display, stock Android 11, a gigantic 5150 mAh battery, attractive design, fingerprint sensor, and more at a very attractive price point. Is this phone worth purchasing? Let's find out in this review. Special thanks goes out to UMIDIGI for providing this review unit. Also, follow me on Instagram at Nivek4s if you want to ask me any questions, see behind the scenes footage, or keep in touch. Let's start off by looking at the design. The UMIDIGI A11 has a modern, sleek appearance. A flat-edged metal frame wraps around the device, which when paired with the flat display, means the A11 looks stylish and up-to-date with current smartphone design trends. On the back we can spot an attractive matte gradient design with UMIDIGI branding and a triple camera array. More on that later. The front of the device sports a relatively thin bezel LTPS display with a teardrop notch for the front-facing camera and the handset speaker at the top. On the left-hand side is the customizable shortcut key and a dual SIM card and SD card slot. On the right-hand side we have the volume rocker and side-mounted integrated fingerprint sensor and lock-unlock key. On the top we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, and then on the bottom we have a microphone, USB-C port, and down-firing speaker. The build quality overall seems very good. The body feels very rigid, sturdy, substantial, and well built in the hand. Even when intentionally trying to twist the A11, the device feels strong and does not exhibit any flexing. Let's take a closer look at the display. In any smartphone, I believe that the display is one of the most crucial parts of the phone, since it's essentially the main component that you'll be interfacing with when using the device. I'm happy to say that despite the low price point, the display is good on the smartphone. Colors are vibrant and saturation is great, and contrast is also excellent, with the display capable of reproducing very deep black levels. The display is well suited for content consumption. Pixel density at 6.53 inches and 1600 by 720 is around 269 ppi, but text and graphics still appear sharp and clear. I don't have any issues with the display's sharpness, even with smaller sized text and UI. The display panel's brightness is good and sufficient for both indoor and outdoor usage. However, I do wish the brightness adjustment slider was more linear in the way that it steps through the brightness levels. The touchscreen digitizer is also generally precise and accurate, with no issues or missed input, even when typing quickly or doing complex multi-finger gestures. The UMIDIGI A11 features a 12nm MediaTek Helio G25 SoC. This SoC has an 8-core CPU, with 4 A53 cores clocked at 2 GHz, and the other 4 A53 cores clocked at 1.5 GHz. The GPU in this SoC is a PowerVR GE8320. Just for some frame of reference, in terms of CPU single-core and multi-core performance, the Helio G25 is equivalent to a Snapdragon 450, a CPU that Samsung and LG often use for their budget offerings. The PowerVR GE8320 is similar in performance to the Mali G51 MP4, used in a lot of Huawei's budget phones. I have the 128GB version of the A11, which comes with 4GB of RAM. The 64GB version comes with 3GB of RAM. Under Geekbench 5, the UMIDIGI A11 manages a CPU single-core score of 152 and a multi-core score of 836. Looking at benchmark scores can be useful if you have a reference point to compare it to, for example your own phone, but synthetic benchmarks can't truly give you the full perspective of a device's real-world performance. Subjectively, the device feels fast. Interacting and operating with the UI, opening apps, multitasking, and playing back content all works quickly and without any issues. The Helio G25 in the UMIDIGI A11 is also capable of gaming, even being able to play titles like old school RuneScape at around 60 FPS. Smoothness in OS animations is generally decent. For a smartphone of this price point, you will occasionally see animation stutter when navigating through the OS. In-app performance and smoothness is generally good. In order to help smoothness, I recommend disabling the Google Now feed integrated into the launcher. You can do this by opening launcher settings and clicking Turn Off Show Google App. The main thing that is crucial for a $100 smartphone to achieve when it comes to performance is that it should be fast at opening, switching, and actually using applications, and work reliably. The UMIDIGI A11 definitely meets this criteria and feels quick and responsive in day-to-day usage. Battery life is one of the best parts of this smartphone. The battery life is excellent. The UMIDIGI A11 comes with a humongous 5150 mAh battery, which when paired with the power-sipping 720p LTPS display and the 12nm Helio G25 SoC, leads to pretty epic battery life. In order to test the battery life, I swapped all my applications and SIM card over to the UMIDIGI A11 and treated it exactly how I treat my daily driver, the OnePlus 7T Pro. My usage on the UMIDIGI A11 involves the following. I keep data, Wi-Fi, auto-rotate, always on, and display on max auto brightness. My usage is mostly a mix of social media, so WhatsApp, Messenger, Telegram, Skype, video calls, watching YouTube videos, Spotify, and occasionally turning on Wi-Fi hotspot tethering. The UMIDIGI A11 under this scenario gives me around 6 to 7 hours of screen on time over the span of 2 full days. This is impressive. Just for some reference, my OnePlus 7T Pro gets only around 4 to 5 hours of screen on time with the same usage scenario. Standby time is also excellent. I left the phone locked and with Wi-Fi and lift to wake on for around 3 weeks, came back and it still survived and turned on with around 30% left. Pairing this gigantic battery with the efficient G25 SoC and LTPS display leads to excellent endurance, beating even several flagship smartphones on the market today that are 10 times the price of this phone. Voice quality is great on the UMIDIGI A11, with no complaints of my outgoing sound quality from call recipients. The speaker gets loud in volume, however sound quality is mediocre due to what orally seems to me as a lack of mid-range and low-end presence, something which pretty much only more expensive devices seem to do a good job at. The speakers are sufficient for things like phone calls and watching YouTube videos, but for a better content consumption experience, headphones are recommended. Speaking of phone calls, I had one issue where upon receiving phone calls, the screen was remaining black. I spoke to UMIDIGI about this and they said simply to factory reset the phone first and then it should be fine and work normally from then on. I did this and that did correct it, so just keep this in mind to first factory reset your UMIDIGI after receiving it. The UMIDIGI A11's camera array consists of a 16 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. The photo quality coming out of the main camera and the ultra-wide camera is pretty decent. I'd recommend shooting with HDR off, as HDR tends to oversaturate and overbrighten the image with the stock camera app. Here's some shots from the main camera with HDR off. As you can see, with sufficient light, the detail is quite good, and the colors, whilst being a little boosted in saturation, looks quite pleasing. Sharpness is also good and hasn't been artificially boosted in post-processing from what I can tell. Highlights in contrasty scenes, however, can tend to get blown out. The ultra-wide camera has similar characteristics, however it also exhibits some noticeable warping towards the sides, most noticeable when shooting ultra-wide in landscape view. The UMIDIGI A11 is able to record video at up to 1080p 30fps. Video recording quality is decent in bright conditions, however will become noisier in darker conditions. Speaking of darker conditions, very low light shots with both sensors are serviceable if you need to take them. However, sharpness, colors, noise, and overall image quality will take a hit. Overall, a solid performance from the main rear camera, which is good to see, as oftentimes this is where the budget cuts are most apparent. Whilst the performance of both the rear and ultra-wide sensors was good, I still feel that it would make more sense for budget devices to invest the money in one single camera sensor in order to get the best quality rear main camera sensor they can for the money. Or at the very least, eliminate the macro camera sensor, which essentially is just a gimmick. Software-wise, the UMIDIGI A11 runs a mostly stock build of Android 11. UMIDIGI has consistently been using close to stock versions of Android on their smartphones, and I'm glad to see that this is continuing. The few small changes they have made to the software are useful additions in my opinion. The left side of the device has a shortcut key. This key can be customized to perform whatever action you want it to, such as opening the camera or taking a screenshot. This feature even allows you to configure different actions for a single click, double click, and long press of the shortcut key. Definitely a nice little addition. There's also included digital infrared thermometer hardware in the UMIDIGI A11, which you can use along with the provided thermometer app. This is not something that I'd be interested in personally, and would much rather prefer that they redistribute the cost of that hardware by investing it elsewhere in the smartphone. Another nice addition is the side-mounted fingerprint sensor integrated into the lock button. The fingerprint accuracy is okay, and roughly takes around a second or two to unlock. The way to be most precise with this fingerprint sensor is to press your finger on the lock button and leave your finger there until the UMIDIGI A11 unlocks. This gives you the most accuracy and reliability, and unlocking pretty much works every single time like this. Face unlock can also be set up, even simultaneously with your fingerprint sensor, so in situations where you can't place your finger on the sensor, you can still fall back on face unlock and a pin. Face unlock similarly has around a 1 to 2 second unlock speed. The UMIDIGI A11 has good connectivity. The device is equipped with a 3.5mm headphone jack and a 3-slot tray that allows for a dual SIM plus SD card configuration, all slots which can be populated at the same time. This makes storage expansion easy, however you probably won't need to expand the storage. The device comes with 64 gigs of internal storage in the base model with 3 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigs of internal storage with the slightly more expensive 4 gigs of RAM model. The device also features a USB-C port. The USB-C port does not have support for video out, however it does support USB OTG, allowing you to connect various accessories like hard drives or game controllers directly to the device. Accessory-wise, the A11 came along with a pre-applied screen protector and a plastic case included, along with the standard manual, AC adapter, and a nice quality red and black USB-C cable. In conclusion, the UMIDIGI A11 is an excellent budget Android smartphone with excellent battery life, a fast and close to stock version of Android 11, a decent SoC, a good quality LTPS display, a sleek design, and confident build quality, all for the affordable price point of $100. Thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed this review. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below, or shoot me a message over on Instagram at Nivek4s. Thanks and see you later.